Welcome to episode 252 of the Artcasters. A special Halloween edition. I'd love to maintain that voice this whole time, but I
You
don't
should the entire time.
That would be amazing, full of thrills and chills. It's getting close to Halloween time, and we all love Halloween, so we thought it would be awesome to do a special Artcasters episode with a special guest, who we will get to in a second. But I guarantee you has a lot to do with Halloween in his art and in his career, and I think we'll be talking about a lot of cool Halloween memories as well. So before we kind of get into it, let's do the round and kind of introduce who we all are and where you can find our work. So I'll start. You're on my channel, so if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit like, but you obviously know where to find me. So that takes care of me. And then other than that, like if you want to check out like art or illustrations or stuff like that, or my comic, you can go to joshuakemble.com, and that's pretty much it for me. Scott, where can everybody find your work?
You can find me at circworks.com. You can also find me at Circworks on YouTube. And if you want to see me do a scary voice, probably I guess it's sort of my best Vincent Price impersonation.
Yes.
I do that. It's like a 25-minute video, and I do the voice through the whole thing, and I set it up so it's sort of like an anthology, like Tales from the Crypt or Creep Show. So I've got 3 scary stories, art horror stories. And for whatever reason, I put a lot of time into it, and it's not getting as much views as my other stuff. So please check it out. Make me feel better.
Love it. All right. And then we also have on a special guest, the illustrator, the producer, the director, I believe Emmy nominated.
11 times.
Boom.
Yeah. Really?
So there we go.
Yeah.
So
But never a winner. Always a
bridesmaid.
But that's pretty rad. So David Hartman, who's also happens to be like a horror specialist in the sense of illustrations and drawing and animation. So it's kind of like it's really perfect for Halloween to kind of have you on, David.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my favorite time of the year, so no better time.
We can tell by your backdrop there.
I know, and it's like that all year long. It honestly, it wasn't just for this podcast. I have this on an articulating arm.
Oh, cool.
So it's hardcore.
Yeah, it was funny when we were setting up before this. It's like I was like, "Oh, that's cool. You have a Halloween background." He's like, "No. This is that. Like, that's just like I just moved that. That's in here all the time."
We did kind of go widescreen so we can kind of see the background though, because it was too impressive to just have the regular.
There's a lot of masks. I got a bloody chainsaw over the TV. I got a cast of the original Bigfoot footprint from Bluff Creek.
Yeah,
a lot of Frankenstein stuff. That's my favorite.
That's rad.
Good times. It's always Halloween here.
That is the best.
And even I see behind that Frankenstein mask is a horror movie that you've worked on that franchise.
Yeah, Phantasm. Yeah,
I just
got
after
in there.
after we had you on, and I don't know if I admitted this on the last one, but I mean I was familiar with Phantasm, but I never watched it. I haven't seen yours yet. I haven't seen the new one, but I watched the original. So yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, great series.
Yeah, and I was also mentioning up top, like before we kind of went live, my son is like super into Transformers Prime.
That's so cool.
Which is a show that David worked on. So it's funny, we were watching it, and last time we had David on, he had mentioned that. So I was like, kind of really stoked because like, yeah, we know this guy. Like
that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And the connection to Halloween with that is that we hired a lot of horror actors to do the voices. Mainly because me and some of the other guys are geeks and wanted to meet these guys, but also of course they're brilliant actors.
Yeah.
But we had like Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator, who plays the character Ratchet. We had Tony Todd from Candyman. Michael Ironside from Scanners. So, we brought in a lot of horror people. Clancy Brown, one of my favorites,
Yeah,
from
definitely.
Highlander. So,
Well, he definitely does a lot of animation, like Mr.
yeah,
Krabs.
he does. He does. So he's kind of a given.
Yeah.
You always got to hire Clancy. He's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, so for me that was like a huge project to work on, and plus being a Transformers fan, since a kid,
Yeah.
getting to work on that franchise was awesome.
Yeah, like I'm impressed, and I didn't get moved to tears like I did as a child seeing the Transformers movie when Prime dies. So I was
Right.
by that 'cause I was just waiting. I was like, there's gonna be a moment that my son's just bawling, and it's like nothing. Like it's well done, but it didn't like shatter your heart,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
to that extent. So
or have them cussing like the movie. Remember that?
yes, I appreciated that. So
the original cartoon was like, wow, that's the first cuss word I heard on the screen,
yeah.
on a cartoon.
Oh man.
Did we tell everyone to find you, David?
No, they can
Okay.
find me at sideshowmonkey.com. That's my website, updated probably once a year. I try to do it more, but I've started doing YouTube as well.
Yeah, if you want to see some
YouTube.
really cool monster art, if you like the stuff we're talking about today, definitely check out David's YouTube channel because he's got some awesome, just really cool, and check out his comics too. I've got a couple. Well, I don't know if I bought them or if you sent. I think you sent.
No, I
think we did a
sent
trade
them
out or
to you.
something. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
So,
if you like horror art, monster art, that's pretty much all you're going to find there.
I love it. That's amazing. All right, and then I had this little extra terrible, like frightening banner below just to fit our thing.
Yeah, like morning television.
Exactly.
Right? Talk
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah, it's gonna have like a scroll bar just saying stuff about what we're saying, but it's like
the
really
stock market.
I love it. All right, so let's get into the topic. So we all love Halloween. We all kind of grew up, I think, as fans of Halloween and stuff. So I was thinking we could get through, go through everybody's Halloween memories, and kind of do a little chat about that. David, I'm noticing we're missing your share screen too for that.
Oh,
so,
yeah, I had to reboot. Let me see if I can bring it back here without screwing things up.
And then I mean, like, so Halloween, maybe we could start off just by kind of like roughly touching on like the things we really love about Halloween before we kind of get into the memories. So David, what is your favorite, like, I mean, this is like almost like asking what your favorite musician is.
Right.
But I mean, roughly, like, what's the thing? What is it about Halloween that makes it so great and fun and inspiring for art too? Right.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't know what it is. I'm just really into monsters, ghouls, zombies, the dead. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, not to go into long backstories, but as a kid, I would go to the fair and I would sneak away from my parents and go to the freak show, one of the last freak shows they had, and I was probably like 7 years old, and it totally, set me on this path of liking just odd supernatural stuff, just bizarre stuff, and I fell in love with horror movies, monsters, all that stuff. So, when it comes to Halloween, I can dress up as those things and run around in the middle of the street without getting arrested. So, for being a complete lunatic, so it's fun. Plus, it's for me as a grown up, I have a daughter and she does Halloween as well. And it's kind of recapturing that nostalgic time as a kid when you can go with your friends, and most of the time you're away from your parents. You can go with a group of friends and you're just going to house
Yeah.
these neighbors. You know, every kid group had like that one neighbor you were scared of or something, and now you get to go to their house and they give you candy. Like, I don't know, there was just something free about it, and it was that one time of the year where you could be a kid, you could be a little rowdy, you know, and you could dress up as monsters, you know, and not get beat up for it.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. That's a great description. All right, Scott, what is it about Halloween for you that you love the most about Halloween? Like, what's the
I mean, a lot of what David just said kind of resonated with me. Like my earliest memories of Halloween were, my first memory of Halloween, my first costume was a Ben Cooper Snoopy. And I'm sure we'll talk about Ben Cooper if any of you guys are old enough out there to know Ben Cooper, or maybe you're not, you've heard of it.
Yeah,
but
these kind of things.
Yeah, the plastic, the basically half, you know, not the full mask, but just the
vacuum formed plastic
with the elastic that's held on by two staples, and then just a vinyl smock. And I mean, I think later in the 80s, they started doing a more fabric. It really is it's really cool nowadays that the costumes are so, I mean, they look a lot more like the characters, and they got muscles built in and all that.
Yeah.
Cool. But there's still something about those old costumes that I love.
That smell, the smell of opening that vinyl plastic.
Yeah. And
the only time you would get that smell is opening a new Star Wars figure and then your Halloween costume, right?
Exactly.
Dude, yeah, that's totally true.
Well, because they came in like these, almost like a cake box with this window on top. Well, sometimes you can buy them on the rack too. They would just be hanging. And even though, and so that was my first costume. And the funny thing is, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but the funny thing is, a couple of years ago, my brother, this was in Breaking Bad, was huge. My brother made like a Breaking Bad costume, but he made it like a Ben Cooper one. So it just, and of course,
nice.
It just says Breaking Bad on the front, and
that's
then
awesome.
He made the plastic hat and you know, the Heisenberg thing, but no one got the joke except for
there's like a certain generation that would get that, and that's about it. You know, I feel like the reason I miss those costumes is it's almost like when I see toys for kids now, where there's a part of me that like almost like wants to see them suffer like we did. Like, come on, man, like that toy actually looks like the actor. Like you need to
where's the imagination?
Like imagining the toy and then getting it and having to kind of pretend it sort of looks like what it's supposed to be, and maybe the arms move if you're lucky, you know. But so like whenever I think of those costumes, that was one of my first costumes too, and one of my first disappointments on Halloween, getting the Casper, and I was like, all of them, you picked Casper. I was probably like 6 or 7 or something at the time, but
and the funny thing is they a lot of them, they would actually say the name of the show on the thing. It's not like if you were, it doesn't look like the costume. It just says thing. Like the funniest one I think I've seen is the Jaws one, because it's got just the head from the Jaws poster.
But it's not even the right perspective to where the head would be. Like it's not like it's facing you.
Yeah,
it's looking up with the teeth. It's from the poster.
And you're basically wearing a glorified trash bag.
Yeah. My favorite was I had King Kong from the 1979 movie, and I freaking love this thing so much. I would just wear it all the time. It had like King Kong on the front, and he's standing on the World Trade Center, you know, from the poster. And then, but I don't know what it was, but I just freaking loved it, and it was kind of like Bigfoot. And you know, once I became an adult and got some money, I had to track one down on eBay, get it, and then my wife framed it up for me, you know, in a nice big shadow box. So it's there.
And there's interesting, if you do a little Googling, there's an interesting story about Spider-Man, like that, and I even did a video a way back of some fan art of this, because Ben Cooper had a Spider-Man costume before Spider-Man was Spider-Man, before there was a Marvel Spider-Man. And there's always this.
Really?
question. Yeah, there's this question because originally I think before Steve Ditko, I think they were going to have Jack Kirby do Spider-Man, and they didn't like his concept or whatever. But I think the Marvel artist.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was a joke.
But the Marvel artists, the Ben Cooper factory was there or whatever, and they would pass those things. So there's kind of this thing if Ben Cooper Costumes actually created it. So if you could do some Googling, you'll find.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's like a yellow costume, but there are a lot of similarities to this. There's the webbing and stuff, and it's really interesting if you do some Googling. Yeah, But anyway, so from that, the Ben Cooper costume, that was really the only time I had the full Ben Cooper costume, and it was Snoopy. And I barely remember, because I was super young. I was like a toddler or whatever. But from there, my parents got really into, and this is one of the things I love about comics. Well, I love comics too, but one of the things I really love, I'm so used to saying thing I love about comics because I say that so much. But one of the things I really love about Halloween is that my parents really got into making my costumes, and and I'm going to show some of those pictures, and you have to realize when I show you some of these that this is before cosplay. Like nowadays, I mean, there were
right.
I mean, back in the day, I mean, these costumes that I'm going to show you, they were like no one. I was so
homemade
lucky.
Costumes were unique. And
I was
rare.
so lucky to have these costumes, and I won a ton of like costume contests and stuff with some of these. But if the internet was around back then, and if the cosplay thing, I mean, I don't know what my parents would have done, but it doesn't seem as impressive. But back then, I mean, I was like, everyone, it was so envious of the costumes and stuff I had. But a lot of them.
People also need to keep in mind, like, this is like pre-internet, so it's like
you didn't know how to make this kind of stuff.
Be like, oh, my son's into this thing, I'm gonna make him a costume and like look up pictures online. Like that just wasn't even a possibility.
Did you guys in school, like elementary school and stuff, did you guys at Halloween time have the parade? Did you have a little parade through the classrooms where everyone dresses up? One year, I was so proud. I was actually. I was still in elementary school. It was probably like 5th grade. And there was these things that came out, and it was called The Face.
Oh, and I had yeah.
Did you? Okay. So I had one. There was like a lizard guy kind of thing, like a reptilian type thing. And I wanted it so bad. And my parents got it for me for my birthday, which was in September. Halloween's in October. But it was one of these things where I could only wear it once.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to show it to my friends at school. And the only other costume we had was a clown. My mom dressed me up as this clown with the little red nose and everything. And I was just so embarrassed because everyone, I'm the monster guy. I want to be a monster. And I was just so embarrassed. So, like, my head's down the whole time, the sad clown. And then I got home. We got to put on the makeup, and we put on this like shroud, and in my mind, I'm like this reptilian Grim Reaper, the scariest thing on earth. And I was so disappointed because every house I went up to, everyone's like, oh, look how cute the witch is. And I'm like, I'm not a witch. I'm a reptilian Reaper.
That kids always get mad about that. And I'll show some of these, but like my brother was
see these.
My brother was a teenage mutant. I've got the pictures too. And I'm right now. I had one of me with the face with my face thing. So I gotta find it. I didn't put it in the ones I was going to show, but since you mentioned, I have to look for it. But
that's awesome.
My brother was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle before before the cartoon or before when it was just a black and white comic.
Yeah, with the comic.
No one knew what he was. Everyone thought he was like a frog or something.
So was this a homemade?
Yeah, it was totally homemade. You could tell it's homemade, and it doesn't.
That's cool.
But again, this is before. Like I said, they didn't even make the costume. And I think my brother actually made most of it himself when he was a kid. Him and my parents probably helped a little bit. But yeah, but a lot of, we were talking about the Ben Cooper thing, but a lot of they would buy like the Star Wars mask, a lot of them, like Boba Fett mask, but then they would alter it, or like Tusken Raiders, they would alter it. So so they start with that Ben Cooper and then they kind of build on it. So I'll have to show you some of those, but yeah, I'm going to have to look for.
That's cool.
But you were talking about those the parades and stuff. And that was, back when I was young, and I don't know, Josh, if you got onto this or not, but if you're too young, but you used to be able to wear like Halloween costumes at school and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
then sort of my pet peeve is when I grew up and my kids, go to school, they weren't allowed to have Halloween costumes at school.
Oh, they don't get
They
to
did
wear
something. What they did instead was these literary parades, and I'm taking cues from what my parents did, so I try to make costumes for my kids. But the problem was now I have to make like 2 costumes for each one of my kids because they can't wear the Halloween costume and everything. So it was always a bummer.
I had to do the same, but
yeah.
But my kids' school was actually open to that stuff, so we tried to keep it, low key.
Yeah.
We'd do like Harry Potter, like she was Hermione, and I'd go
Mhm.
Sirius Black, and then
Well, that
we
one
did one where she was an Egyptian princess, and I went as Indiana Jones, except I put arrows all in me, like because I'm a little overweight, I couldn't outrun all the everybody, so I got hit with all the arrows. So
see, I could have got away with the Harry Potter. I think I did because it was a book, So if it was
Right,
it was a
yeah.
literary parade, so it had to be characters from literary fiction or something like that. So yeah.
But I have to throw this in there. Like, this is just because. So my parents were really kind of weird intellectual people, and like they, my mom was an English teacher, and then my dad was like a guy with like 10 degrees, and he did like architecture and graphic design and stuff. So they're like these kind of nerdy booklet people and kind of hippies. So, so like we all like were raised on like The Hobbit, and it's like,
right.
the only Hobbit stuff I was familiar with were like the books, and then like the animated Hobbit,
The Ralph
had on
cartoons.
vinyl, the Great Best Adventure. Anyhow,
Right.
so for one Halloween, it's like I kind of got convinced to dress as Elrond. And keep in mind, this is like 20 years before the Lord of the Rings movies made people aware of what this was. So people were just like, why are you in tights, man? Like the whole time. I'm like, I'm Elrond, like the elves. It was just it's one of those like literary things pre like anybody really reading books. But so that was a fun one.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was homemade with like felt, like a felt, like my mom like sewed the costume and stuff. It's a different. It feels like a different time. Unfortunately, I don't find the time to make my son awesome costumes yet. But so far he's been pretty content with the ones he's got.
I'll show some of mine, but usually what we do is like we'll do 1 year where we kind of come up with a theme, like the family. So like 1 year we're like, you know what? Let's do the Black Plague, like Black Death.
Nice.
And we all dressed in the time period, and I'm doing like the plague doctor mask, but we put rats all over us, because of the Black Plague. So
I love it.
and we're all really sickly, and then we'll skip a year where it's just like, let's just do a closet raid. Like I have like this closet just full with costumes. It's just full of every accessory and knickknack you could want because of my short films and stuff. It just builds up. So we just raid that, and then we make something like,
Nice.
and we would limit ourselves, like literally like, okay, 15 minutes until Halloween is officially started. Let's raid the closet and just come up with something.
Smart.
And that's where usually our coolest costumes come up.
Oh man!
So I'll show some of our more planned ones, and then some of our quick ones.
All right, should we pull them up?
Well, Scott, do you want to go first, or you want me to show?
I can. I'm still looking for that. I'm still looking for where that one picture with the face thing. I mean, I guess I could show it later, but so I don't know if you want to. While I'm still looking at that, if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I may have.
Some.
Hold on, I may have found. Yeah, go ahead and pull yours up. I think I may have.
Yeah, because yours are going to be a lot more fun than mine. But I want to show.
I'm excited. All right, let's
Okay,
check
so here's 1 year. This is me and my daughter. So this was our last minute.
Awesome.
Our last minute. I had these old skeleton zip-up pajamas, and I put this old hood on. I had.
Oh, that's awesome.
She had the wolf mask and put on a thing. So she's a biker. werewolf biker chick, and I am a serial killer of the dead. You know, something fun for kids.
I love it.
Then we decided to do pumpkins. That was just a couple years ago, ghillie suit. But it was fun to like hide in bushes and then look like a pumpkin that's sitting there.
Do those glow, or was that like something photoshopped?
No, I put in neon lights
Okay,
in
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just, you know, the kind of you get for cosplay and stuff, and RC cars and stuff. So I hooked it up. So inside there's all these wires and batteries. This year we decided,
Oh, wow.
me and my daughter, we both sculpted our own masks out of latex,
Nice.
and I wanted to show her. We watched Face Off and all that all the time on Sci-Fi Channel at the time, and your sculpture, and then how to make a latex copy. But I was Hyde the Ripper. So if Mr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll was Jack the Ripper, and then she was my victim, and she sculpted this mask. I'm so proud of her. Look at that, the eyeball hanging out. What
That's
a kid.
amazing. Those are all wow. That's amazing.
And then this was just a couple years. This was another quickie, you know, the quickie. Just I take a mask, douse it in blood. This was last year. This was another quickie. I just took an old skeleton mask I had. I had this other piece of plastic, and I just cut eye holes out, wrap leather straps around it, and all right, you got a cool Grim Reaper.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then this is me and my wife. She was
Nice.
the mummy. I was Frankenstein skeleton. And that was just kind of a
Wow.
quickie.
So great.
But we did like a whole theme of Universal monsters. So this is me and my wife and a bunch of our friends came over, and the Fly, the Phantom,
nice.
got a mad scientist, Wolfman, and this was another Phantom, Dr. Jekyll. And, you know, that was a lot of fun. I made these big feet. This was the Black Plague, where I was the kind of plague doctor, like before plague doctors were in again.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't totally work because the mouth's shown, but maybe that's why he's dead. Yeah, like here's us, the family, my daughter, and if you look, there's like rats on us here, climbing all over us on my hat. Yeah. There's us as the serial killer ones again. Jack the Ripper. Oh, this one I was proud of. I have a video of this one. It's called the Muck Monster. I made a full articulating mask, and I bought like taxidermy bear jaws.
Oh, jeez.
And hooked it up to the strap around my head, you know, and these big googly eyes and stuff. But it's such a great costume. That's all I could find for now. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of these I use for my costumes and stuff.
That's amazing. That's really cool. So you guys really go all out, man.
Yeah, I try to, except for this year. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
We're in our Halloween kind of lockdown where I'm at. Like it's, you know, but we're still going to dress the house up. But kind of like I told you guys before, I don't dress the house up until the kids are having dinner, so that the house looks normal. They eat dinner, they come out at the dark, and the house is all set up, lights, monsters, all that. And then when we go to after Halloween, I take everything down. So when the kids wake up in the morning, the house is normal again. So my house is completely normal except for Halloween night. They never see it decorated in the daytime. I don't know. That's just my hang up.
You must have.
Like as a kid, that would have freaked me out if there was one house that like, when did they put that stuff up? How did that happen?
Yeah, no, that's great, man. Because if you think about it like that kind of consideration, that attention to detail, man. You know, there's at least a couple of kids that are like, what's going on with this house?
Yeah.
Near
Yeah,
that
even when
house?
because I'm from Ohio, you know, in Ohio, Halloween, I thought, to me and all my friends, like that was just like a staple of the Midwest. Everything's haunted anyhow.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything's old and haunted. So like they would shut down streets. We had like every store was set up, every house was decorated. And when I first came out here to California, and when I eventually bought my first house, you know, we did this big Halloween, but nobody else was dressing up. None of the other houses were dressed up, and I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. And even where I'm living now, like it was that where it's like we're the only house, and it's I'm not embarrassed by it. You know, I want to scare these kids, But at the same time, it's like, come on, everybody. But now where I live, we got our neighbors doing it. Like now, I'm almost the small house on our
Nice.
street. Like all my neighbors go all out, and it's freaking awesome. I love where I live now because of this cul-de-sac. Like everybody dresses up. It's all houses. It's all spooky music, you know. And now people drive by just to go down the street, you know, because it's alive.
It's similar to me because so another early memory I had of Halloween was I didn't live in a cul-de-sac, but there was this down the street, there was a cul-de-sac and they had a big, big Halloween party and everyone participated. There was one house that did a haunted house, another house where they had like old, like Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy or whatever playing. And then one, they, had the thing where you go in and you touch all the gross stuff and you're flying.
It's brains.
But every single house had something like that. It was a big a costume party and stuff. It was just so cool that when I bought my house, I kind of roped the rest of the neighbors into it, and so we had every year we kind of had a Halloween thing going because I live across the street from a cul-de-sac, so it's just like I look out my front door,
it's right there.
So it's pretty much like I'm part of it, but there's a street running through. But anyway, so we had that going on for a while, and eventually like all the neighbors except for one started moving away. But then, so then I started going to my friend's house, and we would do this big Halloween haunt. We did his yard kind of is on a corner, and we went crazy, and we did this big, it was always like a pirate theme, and we just kept adding stuff to it.
That's awesome.
Eventually, he decided that it was too much. He didn't want to do it anymore, and then so the next Halloween, I just set up, I had some tombstones and stuff, and I set them up in my yard and just did the trick or treat thing, passing out candy, and the neighbors, all the neighbors that had moved in, who I didn't really know yet, they were, just talking and stuff, setting up and giving out candy in the cul-de-sac, and they invited me over, and then I got to meet them. So now I know all the neighbors again, and
that's great.
And so we started doing that again, and we're trying to do it again this year, but sort of, hopefully
low key.
So we'll see what happens, but it's just so cool to get everyone involved with that.
It really is, because it makes you feel like a kid again. I mean, that's why
I love it.
Probably why I still draw monsters. It takes me back to the simpler times.
And especially now that my kids are at the point where they're older, but my sons will still do. My middle son, he was never like super big into Halloween. Like he never and I would make these costumes for him, and he would put them on. Like I'll show you some of them. I did this General Grievous costume for him, and it's so elaborate, and he just did not want to have anything. He took it off, and then then he asked. I don't have the picture of it. He wanted me to do a creeper from Minecraft, and he actually asked for this one, and so So I knew he didn't really like all this stuff, so I tried to make it as lightweight with just like the is it EVA? I forgot what the foam is that they make all the costumes.
Oh, the EVA foam or whatever.
EVA foam, yeah. So I made this creeper thing just out of EVA foam, and it was super lightweight and everything. So, and he put it on. He wore it for about 30 minutes, and that was it. So he doesn't
all
really
this time to go into 30 hours go in.
Yeah, my older son, he's at the point where he kind of does his own thing, or he just kind of recycles costumes he had. But this year, my daughter actually wanted me to, when she was younger, she was just a princess, and I can't really sew or anything. Hers would have to be sort of store bought or whatever. But now she's getting into like anime too. So my girlfriend and I, she helped me sew some stuff, and we made a costume for her and everything. So, but yeah, it's definitely fun living vicariously. But now that they're older, it's cool that I still have something that the neighbors are into it and everything.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
And then eventually,
your daughter, for me last year was a bittersweet Halloween, because to me it was kind of a handoff. To my kid, because she made more kids cry than I did. And I know this is a horrible thing to say, but we used to kind of rate ourselves how many kids cry. And, when she was 12, she made like the 16-year-old boy cry. And I was just like, tear running down my cheek, like, oh my God, I'm so proud. But last year I kind of pushed her out there. Like, it's like, it's yours now, the student has become the master.
my ex-brother-in-law, he would do these Halloween parties, and one year, and I was probably late teens, early 20s at the time, and so we wheeled the dumpster out there, and I got in the dumpster, and I had the scary mask on. I forgot what it was, but I would just pop out of the dumpster, and no one was expecting it, and I would
Right.
so many kids. It was worth it to be sitting in that dumpster with that stench just to do that.
Oh, it's like the stuff you do
Yeah.
for that. It's just like ridiculous stuff you would never ever do. Well, I want to see your costume, Scott. You
Okay.
got some there?
Well, I did find the one with the face, so let me
Oh, cool.
share this. So this is me and my friend Mike, and I think his kid's name was Steve, and his mom made a bunch. She made that costume. It's kind of you can tell it's the Ben Cooper, but been altered and stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell that, but that's what David was talking about, the face. It was this. That's the one you're talking about, right? Where it's kind of a sort of a latex thing that you just add.
Kind of, yeah. It was like mine was kind of plasticky.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't really form to your face, but
Right,
you still
exactly.
you still had to glue it down.
Foam. It was. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a white foam, and you would paint
Right.
it, and we painted our own. That's why they don't look that great. And then I remember, I don't know if you can see that big thumb. I got that bandage hand. That thumb would spit out blood.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
So, and these are real great.
I want to draw that guy.
I wish I had better pictures because, again, I mean, cameras. I mean, these are all
back
scanned
then.
in, and these are. So, I'll show you some of these.
Yeah, that's
and again,
awesome.
Realize this is back in the '80s and everything. So,
dude, I would dress up as that now.
So this is my Tron costume. And so my parents made this, and it was just basically made out of, like, you could see it's like cellophane, and they did. But if you look close, you can see they did a really good job with the little circuitry. They just got.
That's awesome.
My dad got like I don't know what that silver electrical tape or whatever it is,
and then like every kid in the '80s.
Oh, that's cool. They spent so much time on it.
You got the frisbee, man.
Yeah, it's just the frisbee and shoulder pads. So I got that, and then here's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle I was telling you about. So let me zoom in here. So again,
this is pretty good with the mouth. They got the mouth,
Yeah, and my brother carved that out of a piece of foam himself. And again, this is before there was any such thing as the only.
Did your parents like doing this kind of stuff? Were they handy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did they do this kind of craft stuff on their?
We did go to a comic. We did go to. There was a bookstore that sold comics, and they were kind of where we got our comics from. And they had sort of a Halloween party. So some of the people there knew who he was, but outside when he was trick or treating, it was just like, oh, what a cute frog. So, and I don't know which one he was, but back then they all had red masks. So, yeah, I don't know if he made a weapon or not. So there's that, and there's another.
The book was black and white. We didn't know what color the masks were.
There's my brother as Beetlejuice.
Nice.
Now I'm going to show you, and there's a few pictures of it. This is going to be my favorite costume of all time. This is me as a Tusken Raider, but that's the Ben Cooper costume. But my mom put like bandages. But that's
that's cool. Yeah, so the eyes are part of the Ben Cooper, and then
yeah.
Like
but that's not the whole thing. I'm going to show a few more pictures here. I've got a little better one than this, but
I love that you're doing the
There was no. I mean, there's really no good pictures of what a bantha looked like.
Bantha. That's freaking great.
So I had the fake legs, and I think I want to buy. I think
look at the little cowboys in the back going.
Yeah.
And Futurians.
So I mean that was, and for the longest time I wanted to. But Star Wars, like when my kids were growing up, Star Wars weren't at least the original ones weren't. But I really wanted to do this kind of thing with the fake legs, but do a tauntaun, and
cool.
But I never got around to it. But this is like my all-time favorite costume.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty legit, man. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my Boba Fett, and this one's kind of cool too. You can see the front is the Ben Cooper, and then my dad just put a motorcycle helmet on. But then I don't know.
Man, as a kid, you got to
going crazy. And like the rocket was like 2 cups of like Yoplait yogurt, like stacked on each other.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's my brother. Here's a Yoda My brother is Yoda. My mom made the mask out of like paper mache and
Oh, nice.
and everything.
Oh, that's great.
And then these are little. These ones are a little more modern. So these are some of the ones I did. This is me as the Crocodile Hunter, and now this is before he died, because after the year that he died, everyone did the Crocodile Hunter with the stingray sticking to him. But this is before he died.
Yeah, that's great.
And here's another one. So we used to do all kinds of this is me and my son as Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, that's cool.
And then here's a Yu-Gi-Oh costume I made for one of my sons. And that's all. I wish they had this stuff when I was growing up, because my parents
foam
did
stuff is so great.
Fun foam. You can do. I mean, I'll show you this other one. This helmet I made, and I couldn't believe how realistic it looks. And it's just that foam. Here's my son's is Robin and Yu-Gi-Oh, and I made that Robin costume. And I don't know how to work a sewing machine, so I just hand sew. Like I took a red shirt and a green shirt, and I just cut them apart and put them together.
Wow.
And then I did this I did this, carved it out of foam and
nice.
Hard-coded.
That's so cool.
So here's the General Grievous I was talking about. So I did that one.
Oh, that's so great.
And
that is awesome.
Here's both of them together, I think.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, how cool.
Now here's a staple. This is me as Gene Simmons of my mom's Cruella DeVille.
Oh, that's
now I wear that. That's my go-to is the Gene Simmons. Like if I don't have time to make a costume, I just put on.
That's what you go to. That's great.
Yeah, because it's a pretty cool costume. I've got.
Yeah, you know who it is.
You can kind of see the whole thing.
The boots
and everything. Yeah.
Dude, full out.
And then this one's back. This one was one of my favorites, but it just sort of totally went out of fashion, and like you couldn't do it anymore. But now it's back again. So I could have done this year, but it was Borat one year.
Right.
And then so my brother, he was born the year that Saturday Night Live premiered, and his birthday's in October. So every 5-year anniversary of SNL, he does like an SNL party, and unfortunately he couldn't do one this year because of COVID and everything. But everyone goes as people from SNL. So this is me, Hell guy. Here's me as Dr. Evil. And I was Austin Powers one year too, but I couldn't find the picture. Those are ones that they were at the time.
That's
it was
cool.
Like,
you got pictures of all this. Like most of my Halloween costumes as a kid, they're lost.
Yeah,
I have one of me as Chewbacca, and that's about it.
I wish I had more. I mean, I got like one picture of some of these costumes, but I just wish I had more. Jack Sparrow. It's me as Jack Sparrow. And here, this is good. This is my brother's Alan from the Hangover.
Nice.
And then he's Jack Sparrow. Now this is one of my favorites too. This is Khan for the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Khan.
Let's see if I go. Yeah. And I did the makeup on the face to try to make myself a little older.
Got the glove. That's cool.
That was fun. Unfortunately I can't.
Yeah, that's a good costume. That's a good pick.
I was thinking of wearing it this year, but I don't think I could fit into it anymore. I had lost the weight to where I was when I had this costume, and then I gained some of it back. So
yeah,
I'll get back down there. But the thing is, I had to shave my chest to do it. So, and then I put like makeup on my chest to make it look like I was built more than I was. Just some shadows and stuff. And here's my brother as the dude. So this is now I made this mask for my son, and it is all that's done out of that fun foam stuff. That's
great. It takes paint so well.
Yeah, you can just. I mean, it looks like it's metal, but it's just that foam. And the trick is you just stack it. You get like spray adhesive, and you just stack. You cut the pieces up, and you stack them, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it.
And the dark colors and the ridges.
Yeah, and then my kids are into anime and stuff, so this one I helped my son with. I don't know what this is from, but some anime that he's into. And then here's a Link costume I made for my son.
Cool. Right.
And here's another Link costume. and I made the sword and everything.
That's awesome.
And this is my other son is a Pokemon. This one he actually wore because it was just kind of regular plain clothes. I got 2 more to show you. So this is my son when he was pretty little as He-Man.
Yes.
I got him. This is back when they relaunched He-Man in the 2000s, and so my kids were. It was so cool because my kids
my friends worked on that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. My kid, the what was it? Mike Young? Was that?
Yeah,
the,
Mike Young Productions.
Yeah. Yeah. When and my kids were buying the He-Man toys, it was so cool because I got to explain who all the characters were, and I knew who all the characters, even the ones they hadn't produced yet, the action figures, and and then when they came out, I was like, oh yeah, and they still have. I made sure they didn't throw any of those away, so they still have them. And then my other son was Skeletor, and a lot of this done out of the foam.
Awesome.
That's classic.
But yeah,
so see, like to me, that's just like the scale there because of the giant head compared to the body. It's just so freaking great.
Yeah, and this is another one. I wish I had more.
Oh, I want to make a whole movie about that right there.
I still have the costume, but I don't have any pictures. Like, I have to find a little kid. Hey, little kid, come here so I can put this costume on.
That's so awesome.
Because I mean, this is a long time ago because he's 21 now. So
yeah, you gotta hang these costumes out. It's like get your photo taken in a costume.
Yeah.
Just have them out there on a hanger.
So anyway, those are some of my.
That's awesome, Scott.
There's more that I couldn't find, but that's a decent amount of.
Hey, that was entertaining. That was great.
Yeah, very cool. Wow, that's amazing. I adore it. That is like. To me, I think that's one of the funnest things about Halloween is the costumes, and then I think there's something about just the air and the weather.
It's cooler.
Yeah, I mean, in theory,
it gets darker sooner.
Yeah. It's been super windy here. Like the past 2 days, it's heating up again, but for the past 2 days, it would like cool down. It was windy and it was nice, but it blew all my tombstones down because I got just these foam tombstones out in my yard right now. So
that's another reason to do it at the last second.
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious about how do you plan that? Because do you have everything? Do you have like a plan? How long does it take you to do it? And
I mean, I have my go-tos that I go to. So I already have like this outdoor CD player. That's all I use it for is Halloween. So it's in the garage. It's already loaded up. I make my own music for it and sound effects. And my kid was scared of sound effects when she was really little, and in Halloween and stuff. So I would put her in front of a mirror to get her ready for Halloween. I'd put her in front of a mirror with the mask, and we would both take the masks on and off so she could understand that it's people wearing the mask. And then I would have her do like the scary sounds, and then I would show her how I modify them and echo and reverb and all that. So she knew that the scary sound she's hearing is actually her, and I mean, maybe I damaged her. I don't know, but she seems to appreciate it now. And, but that's the bad thing about California is no basements. So storage sucks. So it's all in my office or in the garage. And
we don't have too many basements.
But I kind of get a theme, and then I have like there's the basics. You got your cobwebs. I got certain lighting that I know I can use, and I can change the bulbs or the color gels. And then we'll come up with a theme for that year, unless it's the last minute put together. But if we come up with a theme, then I'll buy a few new accessories, for fun. And I mean, I have so many skeletons now, like every year it's like, I need a new skeleton. My wife's like, you don't need another. I need a new skeleton. Did you see our new 2020 articulation on these things? And, so I got a garage full of skeletons.
I love it.
I just keep adding to it. But then, I'm going to run out of room soon.
I've got some cool skeletons, but then I've got, I haven't seen them in a while, but they used to have just these like, I don't know what they call it, like, is it vacuum molded where it's just hollow inside and just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to have these, I bought some of these cheap skeletons, and they're like, they got just a splash of glow in the dark in the eyes, and it looked super hokey. But
Right.
I took some paint to them and weathered them, and they actually made them look pretty good.
Yeah,
so
see, I love weathering it or doing the plastic wrap and hitting it with a heat gun to look like dead skin
cool. I never thought
on
of that.
there. Yeah, it's something to
That's
try. Cool.
So I just thought of so you were talking about the music and everything. Did you guys have any? When I was a kid, I had this record it was a Disney record. It was called The Thrilling, Chilling Sounds.
I had that. Yep.
So,
and
so
that classic scream.
It's great.
Scream.
I'm glad I didn't play it on Halloween because I listened to it first, and like on the second side, there's this bit. They do all the first side is just sounds, but then the second side, I think they've got these stories. And there's one that's it's like this Chinese water torture, and it's like super racist.
Oh, really? I haven't listened to it in a long time.
It's just this sort of mock, Chinese voice. After the guy's been tortured, he turns Chinese and does this kind of offensive Chinese voice. So I'm just glad I didn't play that.
Yeah, I totally don't remember that. There was one. I'm trying to remember. There's one called, I think, The Spooky Sounds of Halloween.
I remember that one.
And one side of the record was a story. The other was, let me see here. It had like these witches, like 3 witches around a cauldron. I'm looking online to see if I can find it. But the Disney one keeps coming up.
We're not showing your screen. You want us to show that?
No, it's fine. Let me find it here first, just in case anything questionable comes up.
You never know, man. Well,
spooky sounds of Halloween. A lot of stuff comes up.
Kind of reminds me, like I remember my first time. This is a little off topic, but the first time I was working in house as an illustrator, and I had to look up reference, and like a kind of saucy picture showed up. I was like, "Am I gonna get fired for this?" Like,
right.
I remember that.
Halloween Horrors was one I had. Let me see. Okay,
when I worked at the game design company, that we had that issue because you pull up reference and stuff would come up like, oh, I got to shut that down. It just came up.
Okay,
because you search for certain things
here.
you don't really
I'm
think
show you an eBay listing.
Okay, hold on. Let me add the stream there. Okay,
I love it.
All right, $17. $17. You can own it right now. Halloween Horrors.
Ooh.
And then the other side had these 3 witches, the sounds of Halloween. So one side's a story, the other's just classic sound effects. And I used to make these radio plays as a kid, and I would always use this album. And then I went through my like 1980s Run DMC, Fat Boys era, and I decided to start trying to teach myself how to scratch.
Oh, I did that.
All right, that's it.
I think everyone had that moment where they realized that it's a different needle.
yeah. I was like, wait, this doesn't work right. And I'm fighting the motor on my stereo. Why is it smoking?
I got so much trouble ripping the band trying to, because I went in reverse and the band just snapped.
I remember I even got a piece of felt and cut it out into a circle so it wouldn't scratch the other side of my album. And so it could slide better so I wasn't fighting the motor of my current stereo. I was like, this must be how they do it. This is how Jam Master Jay does it, right?
Oh, man.
Good times.
Oh, that's...
What about you, Josh? I mean, what were some of your growing up? What were some of your Halloween not rituals, but what's the word I'm searching for? Traditions, I guess.
So I mean, like definitely, like I remember it's kind of like David described, like where it's like it was a time of year, one of the rare times of year, like at a fairly young age, where I could like hit the road with my friends, just walking late at night. Well, it seemed really late. I think at the time, in retrospect, it probably wasn't that late.
8:30.
But it was like it felt late, and it's like you could get up to so much mischief and just kind of run around, and like you had this sense of like independence and just kind of joy in the whole thing. So like for me, like there's that. I do know, like, my dad was like a pretty badass pumpkin carver, And this is like pre-internet as well, so it's like it was unusual. Like he'd do like these full sculpted pumpkins, not like the template cutouts that are popular now, but like he'd like take part of the pumpkin and like push it out, make it a nose and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And we'd have pretty big costume parties. So unfortunately, I don't have a bunch of pictures, but like some of my favorite costumes. A little bit of a different generation, but it's like when I was, I think, in like 5th grade, like Terminator 2, it was like a huge thing, and so I went as the cop from Terminator 2.
Oh, yeah.
And my half brother was LAPD, so he got me a like legit police hat.
Oh,
cool.
nice.
I felt like so special because like I actually
did you do the run?
Yeah, totally. I actually wrapped my hand with pencil, So,
that's cool.
Yeah, and then like I even this is like back before a lot of stuff. So we'd take like the plastic guns that had the red tips and just spray paint them. Like so we didn't have
red tips when I was young. I mean, they were they looked like guns.
They looked like real ones. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that was one of the fun ones. There's just been so many like that kind of stuck out. Like I was obsessed with Indiana Jones, and so I remember at the time also like it was hard to find a fedora because before they kind of mass produced all the indie fedoras.
Yeah,
and so I found like
you found one.
Yeah, I found a brown fedora, like a legit one, because the only ones you could find at costume shops were like the crappy molded ones, and like
with the fake flocking on it to feel like fabric.
Yeah, and that just didn't feel legit. So I got like a that, and actually it's funny, but that costume is in my comic. So I have this.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
I have a comic coming out on December 14th.
Nice.
And through
Marcosia.
Yeah, through Marcosia Press and.
Cool.
And there's a whole chapter where it's about me because I was such a nerd. Not only did I dress up as Indiana Jones, because I got a leather jacket too, and I was excited to have a leather jacket. It's like what I asked for my birthday, so I could dress in.
That's great.
And so it was a pretty like intense costume. I drew with like costume makeup, like these lines for like the because I needed the stubble and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was such a geek that I wore it to school for like half a year and asked kids to call me Indy.
What?
Yeah, I was a nerdy kid. Yeah.
That is
so
awesome.
Anyway, there's a chapter about that part of it. That's in my book, but yeah, so
you just sold another copy, my friend. I gotta get that.
And that was like cosplay too. So and I convinced my whole class to do like an archaeological dig out in the playground. I mean, I got really obsessed and interested in different characters, and one of the things I love about Halloween that I think is so cool that like conventions have started going there. Is David, you just nailed it right on, like you hit the nail right on the head of like what was so great about Halloween and still is like it was kind of the cosplay before cosplay was okay. And so for geeks, for people who like, you read Spider-Man issues and then you could be Spider-Man for a day. And like it wasn't like just being Spider-Man like at home in like your room. It's like you got to just go out
to show off to your friends. Like, look what it's like
totally
we all gravitate to something different that we like to call our own, and then you get to dress up as that thing, and all your friends do that too, and it's just kind of like geeking out on each other and how you made it or what you put into it.
And then there's that too, like the organizing. Like I remember, and I'm sure you guys all had this moment too, where it's like if I just ditch this like thing my parents gave me to like carry candy with, and like I like sneak a couple pillowcases, like we can get a lot more candy. Like the inventiveness too of it, and the fact that like there was a little bit of autonomy, but it was like safe autonomy, like that.
It
was just
and you could act like your character,
Yeah, a lot
it was awesome. I was lucky as a kid. I had 2 Halloweens, so I would have
Ooh.
Halloween, and then I would go to my cousins who lived like an hour away, and they always had Halloween like the next day.
Oh, nice.
So especially on weekends, so ours would be on a Friday, theirs would be on a Saturday, that kind of thing. So I would, get this haul of candy, and then I would go get another haul from them. But the thing is, I didn't even really like candy.
No,
Honestly, like
I was gonna say that
it's like it was more like the hoarder aspect or the greed of like, look how much I have conquered, but then I just toss it away, it gets old.
So my siblings and
Such
I,
a waste.
I think it was more competitive at that point where it was like, that's where I was like competing with my sisters, it's like when I get home, I'd want the biggest haul, and then I would try to kind of outlast them on how long I could make that bag of candy last. So by the time they're done with the candy, I'm just like, oh, let me just pull out of my
make trades, right? Like I'll trade you 2 Almond Joys for Mounds. Like you would do those trades.
So did you guys ever get, when you were out trick-or-treating, did you ever get anything cool like that wasn't like your traditional candy, like somebody giving out
I loved it. Just those, even though it's so stupid, those little like spider rings.
I remember
or like
those.
a skull ring.
Yeah,
I used to love those things.
They used to take balloons and like an orange or white balloon, or like a white balloon, put
the little feet on them.
Or they just take a white balloon, put little ghost eyes on it, and stick it through one of those spiders. I think. Yeah,
that's cool.
That.
Nice.
But this year, every year for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been giving out comics. Plus,
that's cool, Scott.
I think a comic alone is a cool thing, but I always throw candy in there too, just because you're gonna get somebody that doesn't care and they're gonna egg your house or something.
That's rad though. The only comics, and you guys probably got these too, because I think it's not that different of a generational gap on this, but it's like Chick Tracts. We used to get those.
I never got those, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, I didn't either.
That was when I got exposed to Chick Tracts, and actually, it's funny because even now to this day, it's kind of like like there's a bunch of websites online that collect all of the Chick Tracts, and I've re-looked at them.
That's funny.
And as a kid, I found them like strangely fascinating, almost like a really bad horror comic where you're just like, this is.
Some of those are pretty scary. Everyone's going to go to hell at the end of every single one.
Oh, the illustrations are terrible. Like they're kind of awesome in this horrible, campy way, and so like there's a part of me that like wants to kind of track those down, because I remember reading a few and just being like, this is what? It's like on Halloween, and usually it was the family where you're like, should we knock on this door? I don't know if we should knock on, and then you'd knock on the door, and that's the thing they'd hand you. Like, yeah, we shouldn't have knocked on that door.
We will not be going there next year.
Did you ever get the Chick Tract that was, if you celebrate Halloween, you're going to hell or something?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
wow. There was one of those. There was one for some reason.
I don't think I know of these, but I never got any of these or knew anyone who got one. I don't know. It wasn't big where I was.
That's good.
Yeah, I know of them, but I never actually I never held one.
Oh man, I have to say, just from like almost like on like a Tijuana Bible kind of level or something like that, where it's like just as a novelty, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating.
Well, it's part of nostalgia now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that
I loved getting like the spiders. You were saying the balloons. We had the ones where people would, and I used to make these too. Like once I saw people doing them, like these cut out feet just out of cardboard, and you just put it on the end of the balloon. Like you tie the balloon, you put these on there so they stand up.
Yeah.
And then I would draw like a Frankenstein on there and make big feet, black boots.
So awesome. My mom used to get the Tootsie Pops, and she would put like a Kleenex around it and put a little rubber band, and then put
that's cool. Make a ghost. And
so it looked like a little ghost. She would do that.
Yeah, no one takes the time to do that creative stuff. Yeah. That's so awesome. You give out books.
That's really amazing. Yeah, and that's going to make some kids today,
Absolutely, that is. Like they're going to remember that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone says they love like the Snickers and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, there are good candy. I try to
There'll
give
be
up.
a podcast 10 years from now, Scott, where kids are like, remember when we got those comics?
Oh, yeah. And that's the idea, because I mean, I just want it, because most kids they're not exposed to comics now. So if I can hand out a few comics.
The same way we were, yeah.
Yeah, so, and, you know, and there's like Alterna Comics, every year they do this thing called Alternaween, where you can, for 25 comics, I think, at $25, I think I got like 50 comics. And then also, they didn't do it this year because of COVID, but they started this new thing. I forgot what it is. It's like, because Free Comic Book Day did so well, they did another one close to Halloween, and you could buy, and I went to my comic store, and they had some in storage, and they brought them out. But it's like a pack of, it's all the same comic, but a pack of like 25 of these little mini comics.
Nice.
And it's like $5. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
cheaper than candy.
Yeah, so they can, or they can like buy them and give them out as free comics to get people in the stores, or you can just buy them as trick or treat things. So it's cool that they're doing that kind of stuff.
Dude, it's the kind of thing that kind of makes it like, I mean, David, you're right. It's like, that's the kind of thing that like 20 years from now, like a kid will be talking, like an adult will be talking about from when they were a kid, you know?
Yeah.
You always hear about the people that hand out the full Snickers, like somebody that's like,
oh yeah, you always have those.
Did you guys have
I got a full size?
I never got one of those, but I remember there was a house that would hand out like a can of soda, like a full can of soda. And
wow. And then you get the house that gives you like floss or a toothbrush. You know,
the dentist is going to give you a toothbrush and some floss. Or those little pellets that turn your mouth red that they used to have.
There was
and they'd froth up.
Yeah, there was a neighborhood near us that we'd map out our route, like, because I did trick or treating with like the same crew of friends for like a good 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I did that.
We had a route where it was like there was this like the wealthiest neighborhood in our town that like we hit at the very end of our run, and it's because like every house you'd hit, they'd just be like, here's a Hershey, like, and it's a full bar, like they did the full candy bars. And so we were like,
wow.
Okay, so we do the regular route, and then we go uptown to the wealthy neighborhood.
I used to love getting Pop Rocks too. You get the Pop Rocks, and
hell yeah,
and you take the Pop Rocks, but there'd also be like the family that gives you the fangs.
Mm-hmm.
You always get the plastic fangs. I used to do those, and then put the Pop Rocks in. You're like, open your mouth, and you're that. To me, like for some reason, that was a vampire sound effect. I don't know. To me, that was cool.
That makes perfect sense, man. Because Pop Rocks, that noise would be like a.
yeah, it's an unnatural sound.
I don't think other people hear it as much as you do in your own mouth, though. When you get those
yeah. Well, don't tell me that. That's my bubble. I'm just gonna go get some Pop Rocks.
I love it. Another tip, and I found this out as a kid. This is just a weird, like, I was a strange kid kind of thing, but it's like the Andes mint. If you break it near your ear, it goes like.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Are you sure that wasn't like
100%
like cyanide capsule or something?
Yeah, you can try to say. I think something about the way it's adhered or something, but it's like as it pulls apart, it kind of makes like a hiss,
like a vacuum sound or something.
Yeah, so you can do that. Crazy. Your vampire noise too.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dunkin' Donuts is a Pop Rocks donut.
Wow. Wow, that would almost make you choke on the donut as you try it. I'd like to see how many casualties have happened due to that Pop Rocks donut.
Did you guys have any other like trick or like tips and things like that? Like I remember like they would always say if you go to the apartment complex because you could cover way more ground. Like, because you don't have to go from house to house, you just go to the apartment complex, and boom, you could get twice as many doors as you could, like if you want, just a regular like suburban neighborhood.
Yeah,
like
we had a thing like Josh said, where there's kind of the wealthy families, and we would always hit them first, like because we didn't want to waste precious bag space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on the
you know
little
what?
stuff, you know.
And I also noticed that, and I don't know, I remember like when my kids were, Halloween, there were a lot of, they started doing like the things at the malls and stuff like that or whatever. And so sometimes it's hard to find as many houses, but I remember the older neighborhoods were way better to go to, because I think just because they probably had a tradition going there. Like the newer areas, they just didn't get into it as much, it seemed like.
Well, when I bought this house I'm at now, it was like a brand new neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and everyone that moved in, including myself, all had really small young kids. So the first couple of years, Halloween was like, I'd maybe get like 4 kids show up, you know. But now everyone's kind of grown up in this neighborhood, and their kids are all the right age.
Yeah.
You know, it's booming right now.
So what about, so we talked about costumes and all that stuff. What about like memories of like I'm thinking of like the stuff that you used to be able to get, like the little blood capsules you put in your mouth, and
blood, those things are nasty.
Or the scar putty and that kind of stuff.
I love the scar,
that kind of stuff?
The scar putty. I used to, so I'd wear it on Halloween, right? Or I'd always make boards or do my little short films. But then when I was done, this is like the dumbest thing, but I used to put it on like my action figures, and I always kind of made them like their faces were melting, or like like I would have my zombie, like the guys I didn't play with much, they were like the monsters and the mutants, and I would just have that wax all over. But you know, after like 3 days of playing with them, there's like carpet stuck in it, hairs. You know, old chips, whatever, you know, the crap you find under a couch.
I don't know
all
what
stuck to its head.
I don't know what that putty was made out of, but I think it had like cotton in it or something.
Yeah, it was like that, right? It was stringy.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, but they had, and
it's like that mortician's wax or whatever they call it. But.
Yeah, I used to like talk about the melted face. This, I don't know if anyone ever did this, but me. I think I just discovered this on my own. But I would take like just a thing of tissue paper, like a Kleenex, and I would just dampen it with water and just stick it on my face, and it would kind of look like that, and I just keep walking around with this, this wet Kleenex on my face, and it looked gross, but it was just, that's all it was. You wet it.
All right, I gotta tell you one of my most embarrassing Halloween stories.
Oh, I love it.
I was really little. My parents were having a Halloween party with all their grown-up friends. I can hear them all laughing and drinking and having a good time. But I would go up to my room, and my mom would bring me up like a little platter of chips and dip and little sausages and pickles and whatever hors d'oeuvres they had. And I remember staying up late, or to me it was late as a kid, and you know, the Love Boat was on, right? Mm-hmm. And then after Love Boat was Fantasy Island. Oh, yeah. And on Fantasy Island, it was this episode where it had Mr. Brady from the Brady Bunch, but he was a vampire, right?
Was it perm Mr. Brady or pre-perm?
It was perm. Okay. Perm Mr. Brady, perm and mustache Mr. Brady, but he was a vampire, right, in the story. And I was like watching out. They had the makeup and stuff, and I thought it was be really cool. I took the potato chips, I broke them off, and made them into fangs. So I had these two like, you know, Lay's potato chips hanging down. Yeah. And then I took, this is so horrible, I took the dip, the French onion dip, and I just smeared it all over my face because vampires are white. And I just remember going down to all my mom's friends. They're all drunk. And here comes this little kid dressed like that. And I'm just going, blah, blah, blah. My mom was so embarrassed because she had to go wash off all this freaking chip dip off her face. It was the dumbest freaking thing. but it was so cool as a kid, you know. In my mind, I was like the scariest freaking thing these adults have ever seen. Like in my mind, I'm like, I am going to scare the crap out of these people. Well, I'm in my onesie footy pajamas. Bruh, bruh. Yeah.
I used to take like the plastic forks, and I break off the two prongs in the middle.
There you go.
I obviously take the stick part off and just put it in, and I have these long fangs.
Yeah, that's good.
Candy corns, because you.
Oh, see, you guys are geniuses. I just use potato chips, and they're
I
slowly
totally
melting.
forgot about some of this stuff. Do you remember those little eyeballs, the glow in the dark bloodshot eyeballs with the little hole, and you put them in your eye and you have to like hold it down? Do you remember those things?
No.
Yeah, they looked like they were like a kind of like a almond shaped or like a football shape.
Was it a rubber thing, or is this a
No,
candy?
they were kind of hard plastic, but I guess.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and you put them in here, and they just fit on over your eye.
Yeah, and you gotta walk around the whole. You have to walk around like that.
Yeah, it looked like you have bug eyes. Yeah, I do remember those. That's awesome. Or the wax lips.
Do you remember those?
Make those?
Oh, wax lips were you accidentally like
with the fangs and stuff.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah, they're pretty gross.
It's
the same wax if you ever had braces. It's the same wax you got to put on your braces.
Yeah,
I did like those candies that had the bottles, the wax bottles that had
the juice in them.
As much as everyone says how much they love just like the standard, like Snickers and stuff, I kind of long for like some of the stuff that they used to have, some of the really weird candies.
Well, I remember you'd get those little coffins, and they're
like
sweet tarts, but they're like bones and stuff.
Yeah, you could put them together. They would put together like a puzzle. I remember those.
Yeah.
And I don't think these were Halloween, but they had like the little trash cans.
Yep.
With
all the garbage. They all had garbage in them.
Garbage candies and.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I'm sure they probably still make that stuff. We just don't.
They make
search for it as much anymore.
They make some pretty awesome.
It's not at our eye level on the counters, you know.
Yeah, they make some pretty awesome candy stuff now. It's like it's weird, you know. Like I keep envying kids this day and age because it's like it used to be so hard to find Star Wars toys, like good Star Wars toys.
Right.
Like now it's like. You know, I mean, like even on a candy level, it's like they have like lightsaber popsicles and stuff. It's like it's a different world, you know.
Yeah, but see, I honestly prefer the imagination of just a normal popsicle and pretending it's a lightsaber.
Been there, done that, man. It's like you know, any kid from I think our era, like who didn't at some point like figure out like flashlights late at night.
Yeah. And so other things I remember. So there was a time where Paws, like the dies that you get on Easter, they also had a Halloween. They also had Halloween stuff. It wasn't just on Easter. They had like Halloween things that, and I think it was. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly what I think it was just like makeup or something but it was Paws.
I remember seeing Paws ads in comics. And for that, and there was also those in comics, if you remember those costumes where they were like an inflatable head.
That's what I was going to bring up too. Yeah,
those like the big black alien bug head. And
I do have nostalgia for them.
Yeah,
but
they tie on like a bonnet.
Because the whole thing with that is that they were safer because you could see out of them, but it was just like a big pump inflatable thing that you put on your head.
I know, it's just so stupid. And I know if I ever wore one of those, there'd be the kids that just pop it. You know, they would just.
Oh yeah.
You go around. Let's pop that.
But I'm gonna have to. I've got like a Pinterest board of stuff that I grew up with, and I'm gonna have to see if I can find some pictures of the face because I forgot what it was called until you mentioned it. But
yeah, I think it was called the face.
Yeah.
Like I did that too. For nostalgia's sake, I got a folder. It's like I just called My Toys, and it was like everything I grew up with that I find online. It's like, wait, I had that. And
it's
then
way cheaper than actually have to buy all that stuff. Is happening.
Yeah. For a while there was a time before. I mean, this isn't like promoting copyright fraud or anything, but like I would take those images and I put them all in a PDF and I would lay them out, and then I'd go to like print on demand and tell them this is just for reference. I'm only printing one.
Right.
And I would write for reference only on the front, copyrights to their, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they would print this one copy for me. So I would have this like little collection of books of like, that were just my toys, right? They were just my stuff. Cause I have tons of books like action figures, and I'd have pages flagged like, that was my page, that, you know, but I wanted one little book that had all my junk in it.
It's really smart, man. It's funny. I was showing my kid some of the old like Disney cartoons that are on Disney Plus, and one of the cartoons I never actually saw the cartoon as a kid on like Wonderful World of Disney or anything. I remember seeing it on that Fisher Price projector thing.
Oh,
And
yes.
so Goofy's
I
trailer.
remember those.
And I was like, I remember watching that and then watching it backwards because you could.
Yeah, I had a Flintstones one.
Josh, was it Lonesome Ghost?
No. It was Goofy's Mickey's trailer.
Okay.
So
I because I had one of my brother still has the one we had, but unfortunately some of the film gets it's like wearing away and stuff. But he still has the projector, and I actually had one that had batteries in it that projected on a wall. So you can put those little cartridges in, and it would project it on a wall.
I remember I had a friend that had that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Mine was just the Flintstones. I'd watch Fred bowl, and then I'd
but it was
the bowling ball's coming back to him.
Yeah, because you could run it backwards or you could run it super fast.
Yeah, and it made that weird clicking noise, and every now and then it would jam up, and you'd have to shake it back and forth.
But I remember I had the Lonesome Ghost, which is on Disney Plus, and also Goofy's Glider and a bunch of other ones. But those were really cool.
Yeah,
and for a while, Fisher Price was I don't know if that was one of them, but they had taken a lot of the toys that they had, like those nostalgic toys, and they reproduced them as like anniversary editions.
Yes,
and I forgot.
They still have those. Cool. Like they for a while they like had them at Target for a long time.
Yeah, I have to show you over here. Like, I know this is wonky. I don't. Maybe you can't see. In that glass case, there is all my Frankenstein toys from when I was a kid.
Oh, nice!
So I got all my.
Do you have the Remco action figures?
Yes, I do.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, I loved those as a kid.
What about the Migos?
I had the Frankenstein.
You cut out. You got muted, David. You're muted.
Oh, there's like a mic button.
There you go. Oh, he lost the sound. Okay, he lost his batteries probably. Okay, I think we heard
it back.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I lost my headphones, just died on me.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no echo for you.
Yeah, I don't hear any feedback, do you, Josh?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, what were we talking
about? The one thing I'm not a fan of with like Bluetooth headphones is that like I need to get a good pair of like I don't know if those are, but like for me, I have a pair of those and they die like every 30 minutes.
Yeah, these are like Bose and they last for like 4 hours, but you can't charge them at the same time as you use them.
Same here.
I just want a pair I could plug in while I'm using them.
I miss the old there used to be like a pair that like this is once again I guess nostalgic, but it's like back when Radio Shack was around, there was like a pair of Sony like stereo headphones you could get for like $15 that were great.
With the nice coiled cable and you just plug them in.
Miss that.
Yeah, I do too.
Sony ones, I just get these. They're like $20. You get them at like Walgreens or whatever, but I'm sure they're not the same quality as other Sony stuff. But
are they wireless or are they
they're not wireless. I just plug them in. But
that's what I need to do.
But you were saying you're talking about your Frankenstein collection. I was going to ask you if you had the Migos, the Universal Migos.
I did, and I remember. I mean, I even have a memory of. I mean, I had to be like 5 years old or something. I just had this memory of going to a furniture store with my mom, and she had just bought me a Dracula figure of one of those old ones, and I couldn't take it out of the box, so I was just sitting there staring at the box, just sitting on furniture as my mom,
did she buy it for you?
Counting the minutes to go home so I could open this,
Did she buy it for you so you had something, so you would have something to keep you occupied while you're in the fort?
Exactly.
I remember that anytime we used to go to R&B Furniture, I think was the place, and like anytime my parents were furniture shopping or they had to go to
sit on this couch and stare at this.
All these boring things for kids. I hate that.
They would usually buy me like an Archie comic book. So here, go sit down. You read it in 10 minutes, and you're like, okay, I'll read it again.
That was one of the best ways, at least when I was a kid, though, to score comics. You know, like if I wanted to get a comic, I could just go like on some boring trip with my with my mom, and then like coax her into like, hey, you know, like there's a, you know, can we stop by?
I
Like,
won't be bratty if I had comic books in my hand.
yeah,
Blackmailing your parents.
There's literally a gas station right across the street. I can go to the spinner rack. That bums me up. That's not the way it is anymore. You know. There's no spinner racks, man. But one of the things I love about Halloween too is just this. Like, it brings up so much nostalgia.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like, it gives you like a taste of childhood again, I guess.
It does, and it's something that's at least countrywide where we've all kind of experienced very similar things. We all have our own little nuances to our territories we grew up, but overall, you know, it's kind of sharing the same types of memories, and you know how you guys celebrated it and stuff. I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's fun to talk about for me, and you know, and I love reliving that feeling. That's why I'm constantly drawing, you know, monsters. I mean, that's just what I like, you know. So I'm going to draw what I like and what takes me back to those feelings I had as a kid, and just sitting on the couch with the iPad on my lap, you know, just putting on an old horror movie, you know, and drawing monsters.
So what have you guys been doing any like Halloween stuff, getting ready? I've been watching. I found a lot of the Tales from the Crypt episodes are on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I've been putting those on while I'm working. And then I didn't even realize that there was I think it's Hammer, but there was a 1979, I think, Tales from the Crypt movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was
Christopher Lee and Peter.
I don't know if Christopher Lee was in it, but Peter Cushing was in it. I know that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, it was kind of how they did it, where it was the Crypt Keeper. But like if you've seen the old comics, the Crypt Keeper didn't look like he does in the more modern version.
Yeah.
It's just kind of old guy with a hood. So it was kind of like he was kind of like a monk, and these 5 people came in, and they don't know why they're there or whatever, and then he goes through each one of the stories is how they died, and they're like a purgatory thing. But it was interesting.
Classic though. I mean, that's like I know this ages me, but I mean, those are like the things I watch all the time. Like I just love that era. I love the movies with film grain.
Nice.
But I find myself just rewatching those more and more and I'm falling behind on my modern movies. I can't turn into this old guy stuck in my rut, but I just love, you know, but my kids like reliving it. Like, you know, she's like, Dad, can we watch Texas Chainsaw? You know, we watched Friday 13th Part 3 last night. And it's like, you know, so we're hitting all those. But then during daytime while I'm working, I'll throw on, like you mentioned earlier, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. There's Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, you know. So I like throwing those on, the Tingler and House on Haunted Hill, all the old Vincent Price ones. And, you know, but man, I can just watch those every day. I don't know what it is. I just love throwing those on and drawing monsters. I don't know what it is.
I love it. One of my favorites is weird, but it's this movie from like the 1940s called Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh yeah, it's Cary Grant.
Yeah, and it's a comedy, but it also like
it was actually a play, and they filmed it kind of like a play.
Yeah,
if you watch that movie,
Peter Lorre.
Yes, master.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, that's one of my go-tos for Halloween.
Yeah, and how about Mad Monster Party? Any of you guys are
Rankin
Bass stop motion? I had to. That's always like my kicker off for the Halloween season. I always gotta, you know, start off with that because I just loved it so much as a kid. And it was rare that it was on. It wasn't on. It didn't seem like it was on every Halloween. It wasn't like Charlie Brown that's on every Halloween. This was one. It's like this would be like, you know, USA channel would have it, or TBS, or somebody would have, you know, be playing it on cable, and you just, you know, come in and it's halfway over, and you just, you know. But I love the old Rankin Bass stuff.
But that, I love Rankin and Bass, and when I discovered that, I was like, "Oh, I can't believe there's a Halloween Rankin and Bass." You
got to sit through the Phyllis Diller songs, but the rest is great.
And a good companion piece to that is the Munster serials, of course, that come around every year, and the fact that they still come out.
I honestly was watching the Munsters when this started. I turned it off.
The Munsters are great too, but I was talking about the Munster serials.
Oh, the Monster series, like Frankenberry and Count Chocula. Yeah, I did a piece of them, a drawing like a few months ago of them.
I've got some sketch cards. I did all of. I even did like the Yummy Mummy and the Fruit Boot. Some of the lesser ones.
It was so sad for that brief period. Well, it was a pretty long period of time where like they just kind of stopped making all except Count Chocula, and it's like, come on, there's more than Count Chocula here.
Yeah, I love Frankenberry, but man, my stomach doesn't love it anymore. I tried to eat it not too long ago. I was like, man, this just ain't sitting well. I don't know if it's red dye number 5 or what, but something.
Frankenberry, I always say that Frankenberry is one of the best character designs ever because they took the Frankenstein, but then he's got like the little, I don't know what you call that little thing that looks like smokestack.
The gauge.
He's got a gauge, and he's got his fingernails are strawberries. I mean,
but you know what the biggest thing on that, the hurdle is that they made a character that's pink that little boys weren't embarrassed to play with when we were kids, right?
Sure.
It's like I had no problem saying I love freaking Frankenberry,
And I always wanted to try Blueberry. I would never get it for me because I never had anything.
Oh, I love Blueberry. Blueberry was good.
Like Star Wars, so I was like, I want that.
I actually liked Blueberry more than Frankenberry, but I felt like I was betraying my love for Frankenstein if I didn't get Frankenberry, So I
didn't like the character Blueberry as much as Frankenberry, but I always wanted to try the cereal. But what's cool is that, and like Josh said, there was a time where they didn't really do anything, but they brought it back. But what's cool is it seems like every year they bring it back. They get a different artist to redesign them. So there's all these different incarnations.
Yeah, and it's always kitschy and cool.
Yeah.
Hey, can you share my screen real quick? I'll show you my goofy.
Oh yeah.
A goofy drawing I did.
I love it.
Oh, I love it.
It was just a quick little iPad sketch, but I did throw in Yummy Mummy and Fruit Root in there. So
awesome. Yeah, I love it. That's so cool.
Man, so David, so that's part of like what kind of inspires you to draw horror art, right? Is like your love for like monster and that feeling from like Halloween and stuff. Yeah, and it's just like all throughout, your work on your site. It's just really, it's kind of awesome. It's like, I think there's something to be said for like people who like monsters. And I honestly think like, I would be suspicious of an artist that I met who didn't like drawing monsters because it's like, it's one of the funnest things.
Well, there's no boundaries, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about the anatomy as much on most of them. You can just draw all kinds of crazy stuff, and if their arms are a little
you can
longer,
be weird with it, or you get to break the rules of anatomy and the rules that are set there. I don't know. I just like that kind of stuff. And here, I'll show you if you want. I'll just so.
You want to show off your stuff then? Yeah. Just let us know. Okay.
Yeah, I got some stuff. So every year I do kind of like a Halloween little thing there. Let's see what else I got here. Some of these are old. They're all over Tumblr.
You should make cards out of it. Have you made cards out of these?
I haven't, but you know what? I just made business cards like baseball cards. And then I saw your video, Scott, where you were doing wax packs.
Yeah.
And I want to make some of the way you were doing it with the sticker paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna do.
I want to do something like that.
I'm gonna do an updated video.
There's been Cooper masks.
Oh.
So I did a little fun one for those.
I also love the there were a couple. It was like a couple back, but you've got like the classic kind of Halloween headed guy with the cat.
Yeah, like these guys.
Yeah.
Just a little gif, but
So great.
fun times.
Oh,
That's
man.
great, man.
All
Yeah,
right.
those would make great like Halloween cards.
Hold on a sec. I gotta show you these cards. I know we're
Okay.
running long, but I gotta show
No,
you.
I got
While you guys are getting your cards and stuff, I think of like Legend of Sleepy Hollow too as like a classic to watch around Halloween time. You know, the
Yeah, are you talking about what particular version of it? Like
the Disney one from
Disney
like
one, yeah.
that was like released with Wind in the Willows.
Mhm.
Like, I love watching that. And actually, weirdly enough, I'll watch Wind in the Willows around this time because it was
Wind
all
Willows.
grouped.
Ichabod Crane. Okay, I'll show you these, but I'll show you on the camera.
Oh, you're gonna go full screen then?
Yeah, if you want to cut the screen out.
I'm sorry. I
It
removed
might be
you.
dark. Let me see. Might be dark. Let me see.
Here, let's go full screen on you there.
Here.
Wait, how do we go full screen on David here? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Let me get this focus going here. Okay, so it might be hard to see, but I made them like baseball cards.
Yeah.
So there's
cool.
the mutants.
Are they trading cards or is it a game?
No, it's my business card.
Oh,
so the back.
Sweet. Oh, nice.
So the back is all the same.
So how did
I made it like an old Topps or Fleer card,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
Now,
You
here's
can
my
see it more
question. I
light.
want to know, how did you do it so you have, is the front?
It was, I'm trying to remember the printer. It's just a business card printer.
And is it
They
glossy
said
in
I could
front?
have, they said they would be willing to give me like up to like 10 designs.
Nice.
Is the front?
And when I saw that, I was like, oh, and then I was like, do you actually do them in baseball card? Do you have baseball card size? And they're like, yes. And I was like, please, let's do this.
That's
Okay.
Because I don't have the patience to actually print.
All right. So how did you do? Did you just use a texture on the back that looked like old paper, or is it actually old paper on the back? And is it the glossy on the front?
The front it's like a satin.
Okay, right.
And
Well,
the
yeah.
back is a little more matte, but it's still satiny. You know.
But is the back? Does it look like how the old trading cards?
Yeah,
had
no.
like,
So I grew up running a baseball card store my dad had, and like I just had hundreds of these cards, and they would make these blank cards. They were error cards.
Oh, nice.
And they would have like no printing on them, so it's just that paper.
Yeah.
And I had like an old scan of one.
Okay.
And I just used that texture, and I mean it's the actual texture they were printed on. So I just tried to make it look like it, but it's still a satin card.
Okay.
It's coated, so it's protected, you know. But so it's not. It's more the look. It's a fake, baseball card. But I was so proud of those because it was one of those things I just had to do. And then I saw your video. I was like, oh, I need to make these into wax packs.
Yeah, I want to do
those.
I want to do a revert because I was talking because I get a lot of comments on that video of people. There's somebody that that's been sending me information. So they got an updated version on a different way, but I think but you need a laser printer to do it. But
oh, really? You can't use an inkjet?
No, but my friend says she has a laser printer, so I'm gonna see if I can get it to work. But
that's cool. I'll be looking for that.
I'm gonna do at some point. I just published this coloring book. I don't know if you can. This gross food. So it's all this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna make like.
Are there stitches on that bun?
Yeah. And the whole book is like that. I mean, I don't.
Dude, you have to do that in like a wacky pack.
I'm gonna color all these things. It's like it's kind of hard to see, but.
So you know what the trip like? I didn't.
That's awesome.
That's hard to see, but yeah, it's just like. But anyway, so I'm gonna color some of these, and then I want to make like a pack. Like,
man,
because it kind of reminds me of like the old garbage
wacky packages,
wacky packages and stuff like that. So
what brings me out is, and this is like a weird little comic factoid, but like Art Spiegelman had a lot to do with a lot of the Topps look that I grew up with. It's just such a trip. So it's like cartoonists have been controlling my life, like the first I thought, right?
Every aspect.
You know, I had no idea, like everything. It's like every element of my childhood that that was art that I was drawn to, like had some connection to cartoonists.
Yeah. I see in my thing here. Can I show you guys one more thing?
Yeah.
I saw it in my reflection there, but I made this book a while ago. It's called 10,000 Zombies.
Nice.
And it's like a kid's flip book.
Oh,
So cool.
is that still for sale?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Oh, that
And
is so awesome.
one of the guys who wrote the movie The Descent wrote story for it.
That's amazing.
So I've done that too. They're on my
So you
website.
just mix and match. I love. Come on, that's like little kids. I would have
Oh,
loved
yeah.
this as a kid. Seeing
Yeah, Edgar Allan
compound
Poe.
fractures. Like none of my books had compound fractures in them.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There's a combination.
Oh,
I have a series of trading cards. I had 3 series. But I ran out of I had these Robots of Oz ones that I ran out of, but I've still got like
Ooh, that sounds cool.
I've got the classic monsters, and then I've got Greek gods and monsters, I think. But it's but they're like that, but they're trading cards, but they're split in 3, and you can stack them and combine them.
Oh, yeah, see, that's cool.
I love that kind of that exquisite corpse type.
I do too,
you know.
and even like what you've done, Scott, recently with your comic, like you made your kind of comic templates. That you've done. Remember comic plates, and they had monster plates.
Yep.
And you'd mix them up, and then you just rub it with a crayon with a piece of paper.
They had like an exquisite corpse type thing, yeah, where you put in the 3. Oh my God.
You could do the 3 different parts, and then mix and match them, and then they had fashion plates, and I remember my cousin had those, and I would mix like the girl fashion plates, but I put a monster head on them. You know?
Oh my gosh, my
I
sister
think that's an idea for.
Barbie one or something, and then it's like there was oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, I should do that. I should publish a KDP book where you would have to cut them out yourself because they won't cut them. But if I put like the little dots with the scissors, and then maybe even make them blank, and then people can draw their own and cut it and make their own
that's
thing.
cool.
Have little prompts, or I don't know. There's some kind of idea there, or it could just be a coloring book that you cut, and I could draw the character.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I could probably take the stuff I did if I have the line art still from the other things. Ooh, I'm going to do that. That'd be a quick book to publish, as long as people don't mind cutting it out.
I love seeing creativity happen.
People, the only thing I would worry about is if people think they're already cut and then they give me a bad review because they're not. But you can't.
Yeah, you would have to say.
You
I've seen on TV.
Not included. You know?
Cut lines not included.
Yeah, that's
Call
cool.
it paper craft or something. It's like I think most people would be hip to that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we are kind of, and I don't mind that we ran long because it's my favorite subject. But maybe to take us out, we did get a question here. Where did it go? About the kind of the Addams Family monsters. What do you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm a monsters guy.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the Frankenstein thing. You got
monsters,
but I love Addams Family as well. I just watched all the Addams Families again, but I'm watching every Halloween. I gotta watch the monsters. I'm on the end of season 2. I've got 3 more episodes to go, and I'm
that's so good.
out on that. Yeah.
I do love the Addams Family, single panel cartoons, Charles stuff.
Yeah, all the Addams stuff was amazing art.
But
but I think the Monsters was on, as a kid, I mean, obviously they were reruns when I was a kid, but they were on that right time when I got home from school. They would be playing. They always had Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, and Munsters always back to back.
And for some reason, Flipper would sneak in there.
Yeah, Flipper. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That was my personal favorite, but I have respect for both. I love them both.
Yeah. It's hard not to love both. That's a hard one.
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
It's not one of those questions like
you like peanut butter or chocolate,
or like Star Wars or Star Trek.
Right.
So,
man,
we're horror fans. We love it all.
I also love that we live in an era where it's okay to like both, because there was a time
Right.
where it was pretty contentious, man.
Oh man, I remember those Addams Family fans versus the Munster fan knife fights. Man, those were hardcore.
Insane, man.
Yeah.
Belly fights.
I know what my next drawing's gonna be.
I wish the Addams families could have met the monsters, because like I used to love
that would have been awesome. Yeah.
I love the old Scooby Doo's where they kind of met the celebrities and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
It's funny, my daughter, like, she loves them too, but she won't. They made like the 2 or 3 actually, but Munster movies that were in color.
okay,
But she actually prefers the black and white because she's like, why are they teal, like light blue? They constantly refer to themselves as green. Why are they this bluish color? Which I always personally love the bluish color, but
I've never seen them in color. I don't think I've ever seen them in color.
oh yeah, you gotta go see like Munster Go Home.
Okay.
Yeah, they have like there's 2 color movies that are pretty good.
They're not like the Batman movie that, like in the Batman series, where the series was so corny and great, and then the movie was.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, the thing with this, like, there's a laugh track on the show, right? But on this movie, there's no laugh track. So, to me, it's actually works better with the laugh track.
Yeah.
Because it fills this little void. So they still have like the pauses in there,
Oh no.
like laughter. But if you usually don't think the joke's all that funny, worth a laugh, anyhow.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of awkward pauses. But I don't care. I love them. I love the characters, and they've tried to bring them back several times, and you just can't beat Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis and all that. It's just perfect casting.
All right, guys. Well, I mean, we've been going. We're almost at 2 hours, so I think
Holy cow!
we'll have to close up shop on this one. But what a great topic and super fun.
We could go on for days on this.
I know.
I'll have to make an edition or something. So.
And I know
a 2-parter on YouTube.
Yeah, we didn't get to touch on David on your art as much. I mean, we've had you on before.
That's all right. I just dig talking.
Yeah,
this nostalgia with you guys is so much fun. So
sure.
I'm thankful and honored you had me on. I really appreciate it. I
Even
love
better.
your guys' work. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, for anyone who's been watching who hasn't, I mean, checked out David's work, which you probably have already, but if you haven't, go check it out at Sideshow Monkey. It's just it's so good. It's so
thank you.
and fun and like actually will get you in the mood for Halloween too. So yeah.
Time of the year.
Cool. So is there anything we missed other than, I mean, like, I think we could go forever because we all like monsters and Halloween.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think we got everything covered.
I love it.
I'll just plug, I'm doing some more YouTube stuff coming up soon, more artwork, and I'm directing on several shows that'll be coming out soon. 2 animated ones, if you don't mind me saying. They're coming out on Netflix. One's called Trece, which is based off of a Filipino comic book. And it really dives into the Filipino lore in the world of their it's actually based off this comic that was created over there, and we're doing the animated version, but it really goes into the lore of a lot of the characters and the supernatural. And it's more, adult horror and stuff. And then there's another one I'll be directing on Army of the Dead, which is an animated show based off of Zack Snyder's doing, who, did 300 and the DC movies. So I'm getting to work with him right now and directing on those. So it's pretty cool. So, but those probably won't be out until the next year or so. But
there's so many cool
for those things, and I can't tell you more. But I think some of the stuff's gonna be really cool when it comes out.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool animated stuff coming out. That it's just cool that.
And especially right now, as horrible as the pandemic is, the animation industry is booming. Because once cameras are stopped, it's the one industry that can keep going, for entertainment. So there's a lot of work coming out right now. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man, I can't wait to see those. that's very, very cool. All right. So I have a comic, 2 stories coming out in December 14th. There's no pre-orders yet, so I can't really announce it like officially. Although I do know that's the release date. So hopefully in like a week or so, I'll be able to give everybody a link so they can pre-order it, and then at that point, I'm going to be asking people to really push it hard because it's like an indie comic. And so like the more people who can like retweet and talk about it when that does eventually is up for pre-order, that's going to really help out.
Absolutely. And
visibility.
Who's the publisher again?
Marcosia. So it's like a British indie.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, but it should be available on like, you know, all the major platforms and
awesome
retailers. So, but still, it's an indie, so I'm hoping to give it the best shot it's got at getting read. So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's my news. But quarterlystories.com will be the place to find that, or joshuakemble.com. And then Scott, you know, last but not least, where can everybody find your work? Where can they check out your latest YouTube video of horror? And then after that, how do they keep track of this whole thing we do?
Yeah, so you can find my work at circworks.com. But like I said, if you haven't already, check out my Art Horror Stories video. It's my latest video on YouTube right now. It was just really fun to do. I did the sort of events.
It's one of my favorites, Scott. Of course.
Thank you. Each one has sort of a twist ending, and it's me telling stories of just basically art horror stories, but making it sort of like and it's all kind of tongue in cheek, but it's really fun. So yeah, I mean, so definitely check it out. It's good to have on while you're drawing and stuff like that. It's a little longer video. It's about 25 minutes, but there's 3 stories in there, and yeah, it's just me getting to have fun and put on a silly, spooky voice and just ham it up and everything. So I really
becoming a tradition.
Yeah. Well, it's the second one I've done, and if you want to watch, if you like it so much, at the end of that video, there's a link to the one I did last year, which is also pretty fun too. So yeah, that's what I got going on. And other than that, this show that we do this every week. It's and it bounces back and forth between Josh's channel and my own channel, usually on Thursday nights. But if for some reason we can't do it on Thursday, we might do it a different night. Sometime, usually at the same time, around 9 Pacific, but it could be at a different time too. You never know. But if you want to know where it's going to be and all that kind of stuff, the best way to do that is just to join our mailing list. There's a link in the description of this video. We don't spam you or anything like that. Just about 30 minutes before you go live, we'll send out a little link that you can click on, so you'll always know when we're going to go live. So definitely check that out. And I just want to say, I want everyone to have a happy Halloween, a safe Halloween. And hopefully by this time next year we'll be able to get back to kind of the way we normally do Halloween. But this year will be a little different. But that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, is just to at least, you know, we can, if we can't do all the stuff we'd like to do on Halloween, we can you know, dive into our memories of Halloween and what it was like. So
very cool.
All right, awesome. Thanks again, David, for coming on. And
thank you guys. This is so much fun.
Yeah, awesome.
I can talk forever about this stuff with you.
Maybe we'll have a part 2, and we'll do like a Halloween when it's like mid-year and it's not Halloween.
Yeah. It will still be like this. So awesome.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys. Like, you guys are the reason we do this. And we will see you guys all next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.